Right. So looks like whoa. Well, first off, Emma's on the play. She has gone to 5 cards. That's pretty normal for Tron, especially when you know you're playing against Amulet Titan. I think really the most important card in the matchup would just be like Karn the Great Creator, because I do not believe she has access to Karn Liberated.
Yeah, and that makes sense in this instance, right? If it seems like one of the best approaches to slow down the faster Amulet Titan deck from the Tron side is to
Mhm.
try and establish an early Karn into some sort of lock piece. Look at exactly what Emma has in the sideboard. I'm seeing Stone Brain could potentially remove the Primeval Titans, the namesake card of the Amulet
Mhm.
Titan deck. Um, or establish like a big threat like a cityscape level or a sundering titan to accelerate Emma's own clock.
Whereas Cedric's hand, this just looks like a turn 3 double amulet hand with Summoner's Pact for Titan to me. It seems like if Cedric gets unscathed to turn 3, Emma will be almost instantly dead, is the best way of putting it.
Yeah, because we have the saga can go fetch an amulet. Is there any reason for I guess doesn't Cedric also have the option of playing Mycosynth Gardens this
Yep.
turn to make a third amulet?
Yeah, there's no punish in Emma's main deck, I think, for that if you just spend the land. Sometimes in a post board game, you don't want to do that because of Force of Vigor. Like it leads
That makes
to really
sense.
awkward situations. But I think here, also something Cedric could do instead is just play Simic Growth Chamber, float, play Azusa, Lost But Seeking, uh, then play the Mycosynth Garden out. Because it's very important you don't play a land that creates a trigger right after that.
Yep.
Otherwise, you get killed by Dismember. So he could do a lot, and I think he's going for that path. Let's just let Cedric work and see what happens. You know.
I think that's I certainly think that's a better approach than listening to me.
So, yeah, it looks like he's hovering over
And we
the.
are going
Yep.
to see the Mycosynth Gardens and the Mirror Pool.
Then
And then
just
we'll see the
yep.
gardens copy the Amulet of Vigor
Mhm.
to create another, or maybe not.
Uh,
Go too soon.
I think he's just debating if he's supposed to do it now or wait, and I think probably you should do it now. But it's not a huge difference maker. I think.
Sure. From Emma's side, it's looking like she's really looking for an Urza's Mine off the top.
Yeah, versus mine into. I guess like okay now. I guess I'll look in the sideboard. Oh, maybe it's no, I'm not sure. One thing at one step at a time.
Yeah.
There it
Well,
is! There's
we've
Urza's
achieved
Mine!
step one. We've achieved step one. Be interesting to see. Looking at Emma's sideboard, there's also access to an ensnaring bridge, which the Amulet Titan certainly has effects like Boseiju, who endures that can interact with that. Looks like Emma's gonna elect to play a Worm Coil Engine instead, it's a good stopgap here for sure. In that, right, it prevents 6 damage, can potentially prevent can potentially gain her 6 life as well, and remove a Titan regardless of what Cedric is able to get out of that Titan. But we'll see what with 3 Amulet of Vigors, the Titan deck can do a lot of wild stuff.
Yeah, I'm not I haven't played this deck seriously in a long time, but I think you can deal probably like 40 damage pretty easily this turn if if memory serves. Also, the Explorers are like the best seething songs you've ever seen because they also draw a card. So it's just but I guess we'll just sit back for a second and see how much damage actually happens is uh is the thing.
The coolest game of counting you've ever seen.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, these are all discrete amounts that are technically small integers for some definition of small.
Big, I see them at least as big compared to starting with 20 life points and playing one land a turn.
Yeah. I suppose that's the Rakdos of Oak life, huh?
Yeah, it's the we we grief players don't like to have this many permanents on the battlefield.
Yep, so here's the Titan. So I think one thing you could do if you're scared of I guess there's not really anything to be scared of because it's Tron, like, everything's face up. You can chain Titans, and then with your last set of Titan triggers, get the Boris Garrison slash Slayer Stronghold setup, which I think he's playing.
I
I guess I'll go.
believe Cedric has instead elected to play the Hadware
Okay,
Battlements
got it.
as
So,
the haste enabler in the deck.
so I'm not 100% familiar with how the kill looks, but really when you have this much mana, I think basically all roads lead to Rome, which is sadly a dead Emma.
So yeah, it looks like with going and getting the Tolari West for anyone who has not had to play against Amulet Titan before, what the Tolaria West and Simic Growth Chamber allows Cedric to do is the bounce trigger from the Growth Chamber will pick up the Tolaria West as we're seeing. Then Tolaria West can transmute for another Summoner's Pact, which goes and gets another Primeval Titan, and you get to do the whole thing over again. And all the while, with all of these Amulet of Vigors in play, Cedric is gaining mana in each iteration of that.
Yeah, so with three, it's actually plus 3 mana each Primeval Titan, right? If you get Simic, no, it's more than that. No, 3 times. No, it is plus three each time.
Yes, I like my Primeval Titans at a 9 mana discount.
Yeah, when your Titan is plus 3 mana, that's is really something.
And I thought I knew something about free spells.
Yeah, it is kind of shocking how consistently this deck has two amulets. It's because of Urza Saga, clearly. Um, Basically, it feels like every game you play against them when they have a good draw, they always have two amulets, and you're always dead to it.
Yeah, it certainly asks a lot from your interaction from the opposing side, and a deck like Tron not always very effective at mounting lots of interaction in those first couple of turns where Amulet is trying to close the game.
So I think Cedric is out of Tolaria West now, which means we'll get the Hanwar Battlements plus Valk at the Molten Pinnacle, probably.
Will give access to hasting all three of those Primeval Titans, which that's a lot of that's a lot of power on the attack right from the get-go. This is turn 3. Just
The other thing that can happen is I think if you somehow end up with green afterwards and a Valkit in play, you can maybe finagle your way into getting oh no, I guess you can't get a Dryad because all of the Dryads require Summoner's Pact and we're out of Tolaria West. So
my guess what Cedric is going for here is a kill with Kessig Wolf Run,
got it.
which I believe is in the deck. And getting to go get 6 lands with the Primeval Titans will generate lots and lots of mana with those Amulet of Vigors and finally allow you to funnel all of that mana into Kessig Wolf Run to give one of your creatures a lot of power and trample. That's that's my tentative speculation as a very much so not expert in Amulet Titan.
So if we get 5 bounce lands, that's 5 times
Hmm.
3 times 2. Oh,
Here's a not necessarily deviation from that plan, but the Aurora certainly makes it easier to handle the
sure.
Wormcoil engine here.
The bounce land not being a drawback, it actually turns into Demonic Tutor for your best land.
Yeah, that's the channel land's a very big addition to Modern in the last couple of years. Very big addition to every format in my experience. Just being able to add that extra utility to your mana base. In our match, the channeled Takenuma sort of
Oh
felt
yeah.
like it kept me in the game.
All right. So here's the aforementioned Keswick Wolf Run plus Gruul Turf, which is yeah. You're trying to play fair. This does not look like fair.
And yep, we're going to see Cedric do a lot of damage all at once with that Keswick Wolf Run.
Okay, so it
Going
looked
to try
like
to get
Emma was very ready to sideboard out the Worm Coil. Nope, never mind. Worm Coil is coming out? Question mark.
I don't know, Jarvis. You had said you have some experience with these decks. What cards do you find to be the least impressive from the Tron side here?
I think cards like Worm Coil probably are not very good because what you want to do is like actually do something to Amulet, and Worm Coil at the end of the day is just like not even a speed bump for the deck, as you saw right there. Like Cedric easily overkilled through a single Worm Coil. So I think those should go. Relic has no text, and All This Dust is not fantastic in this matchup. So that's what Emma's looking to sideboard out. I think what we're going to see is some of the Karn targets will probably come in, if I had to guess.
How do you feel about these pick your poisons? They can interact with an early Amulet or
Mhm.
an early Urza Saga, and that seems to me like something of value. But
Yeah, I think if I were in the Tron player seat right now, I would probably try to get them in. One issue with those cards is you actually do need green mana, which means you have to either have a sphere or risk playing it off, like playing Tron off curve, which is a downside to that plan.
that makes sense. How about from Cedric's side? It looks like some number of Urza or an Urza Saga may have made its way to the sideboard. Talk to me through that. That's right. We saw how powerful Urza Saga is. We've been talking a lot about how impressive Urza Saga going and getting Amulet of Vigor is. Why do you think that Cedric might be boarding one out in this instance?
I think he's probably scared of it getting killed by pick your poison, like incidentally. Like losing your land to a pick your poison is probably kind of backbreaking for the Amulet deck in the early turns. It's my suspicion.
Makes sense.
Oh, there's that Sundering Titan is in the opening hand, not really where you want it.
It looks like we've got mulligans on both sides, if I saw that correctly.
Yeah, I think so. I think both hands are not great. This hand from Emma, we have 2 of 3 Tron pieces. We have a Stirrings, which theoretically could find a Tron piece, but no green. But Urza Saga is also like suspend for a green source if you really want it to be. But we also have the Hail Might, which is nice. So I think I would agree with keeping like as good as London is. I don't think you have to mulligan this hand specifically.
Meanwhile, on Cedric's side, it's looking like it's a mulligan to 5, and
Mhm.
that's a lot of amulets, which means that looks like Cedric is mostly just looking for a bounce land at this point. One of the Simic Growth Chambers or Gruul Turfs.
Yeah, let me see how many bounce wins he has. 4, 8, 9.
Looks
I
like the
guess it's
players have decided they're happy enough with their openers, and here we go.
Resource Power Plant on the play. Saga Vigor is probably what's happening for Cedric.
Interesting. Elects to go with getting the green source onto the battlefield first. Um,
I think that's a nod to a potential pick your poison, if I had to guess.
that makes sense.
Mm.
The duplicate Tron piece, not necessarily what what Emma's looking for, but it will likely be useful at some point.
The good part about second tower, if you have Tron, is it lets you cast Tron for Ulamog, which is certainly a way you can win versus Amulet. All right, this is a big explore for Cedric. Oh,
There's the bounce land. Now we have a decision to make from Cedric's side. Do we play the growth chamber? And if we do, what are we bouncing? I guess there's no real downside to playing it and picking it, having it bounce itself. But
yeah, I think you have to do that because if you don't do that, um, I guess he decides against it. My thought was if you do that, you get the Amulet into play. The next turn you have 2, 4, 6 because of two untapped triggers from Amulet, which allows you to play Titan. If you don't play it first, then you have to wait another turn to play your Titan.
I guess the other option there is Summoner's Pact can find Arboreal Grazer,
Mhm.
but it does force you to eat a pact, certainly. And here's a green source from Emma, a
Hmm.
temporary one, but that can make a big difference here, turning on that Haywire Might to give her a little bit of that way that we had said she needs to interact with Cedric.
Get in the cheeky 1 point of damage, then probably go after the Amulet. I guess you float a green first and see what you draw because there might be a better option. Yep. So I think
Yep,
because of
and
this, uh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, I figure there's a saga makes sense here, right? You want to, like
Mhm.
you said, it's sort of a green source on suspend, or can be an expedition map to help ensure that she gets Tron online eventually. And I figure Emma wants to get that clock kind of ticking down.
Yeah, now I think Cedric. Well, next turn he can still play a Titan, which is a good part about this. So Emma still needs help in this game. Hmm. A lot of Urza's towers.
It is. Now, the decision here for Emma comes down to, is it better to activate Urza Saga for a construct or just get Karn the Great Creator into play? You might not be able to cast the thing you want to fetch with the Karn this turn, but it is the way to use your mana the most efficiently.
Well, I think making a construct doesn't really do anything, so I definitely agree with this. Liquid metal
Yep.
coating. Playing for the hope that we get another turn. Although with two amulets, most combinations of cards are just extremely lethal. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect number for Primeval Titan, huh?
Looks like it.
So, well, I think we're basically going to see the same version of the thing we saw last game, except it can. No, it should still be lethal, right? Because there are multiple Gruul Turfs in the deck, and we can haste two Titans. I think it should be plenty. Yeah, I think the problem from the Tron side this game was A, we didn't have turn 3 Tron, and B, we only interacted with 1 amulet, which isn't really going to be enough, I think, a lot of the time.
Yep. I mean, like we've talked about the entire match, this Amulet deck is so good at getting Amulet of Vigors into play, whether it's drawing them, Urza Saga finding them, Mycosynth Gardens copying them. And
Mhm.
anytime the Amulet Titan deck can get 2 copies of Amulet of Vigor into play, it really sets them up to be able to close the game in very short order. We're seeing Cedric decide on what this Titan is going to go get. And with the Titan and the Summoners Pact in hand, it's unlikely that we really even need to. We don't need to mess with any of the Tolaria West sort of stuff that we did last
Right.
game, where Cedric needed to go find more Titans. He's already got those all rolled up.
Yeah, I think we're probably only going to play 2 Titans, if I had to guess. Um, I mean, yeah, he's certainly thinking. Okay, so maybe the issue is let's check it all the way through. Suppose you get 2 bounce lands, right? That's 4 times 4 mana.
Yeah.
No, wait, is that right?
Or-
2, 2. No, it's 8 mana. Sorry, I doubled twice. So you
mm,
can Titan floating 2. Then I guess you could make a third Titan. Oh, so it looks similar to last game, I guess. If you really want to do that, right? Although I kind of have a feeling I can predict Cedric's mentality right now. He's like, okay, I definitely have it. Just make sure I don't screw it up. Is what's going through his mind if I know him.
I think that that's with how complicated the Amulet Titan deck can be to pilot. I certainly think that's a good approach to take.
Yeah. Okay. So crumbling vestige is sort of a proxy for a bounce land. Well, sort of. It's a little bit less mana, but that should be one, two, three, four. We have 7 floating. We can pick up the vestige if we want.
Have I don't think we have a land drop remaining, right?
No, but you can still cast multiple titans as
Mhm.
well. I
Yeah.
wonder. Okay, he's going this route as well, which also works. Like Valakut and Keswick Wolfrun are sort of isomorphic in a way. Like they kind of just do the same thing, I guess is what I mean.
Yeah. It, you're either going to funnel all of your mana into the Kessig Wolf Run to make your creature really big, or turn all of your land drops into lightning bolts with the Dryad plus Valakut synergy.
Is worth noting that the first Titan trigger will not trigger Valakut because there will be exactly 5 lands, but every single land after that will trigger Valakut, so it's probably going to be enough by quite a bit. One thing you have to be careful about is you need to resolve the the Valakut triggers before the bounce one trigger, because I've seen people get tripped up by that. If you do it in slightly
Mm,
wrong order, there's like an intervening if that checks to see how many uh how many lands are actually in play when the trigger resolves.
yep. Yeah, you need to make sure that once the Valka trigger resolves, you still have 5 other mountains in play,
Mhm.
and that can be that's something to keep in mind.
Yep. However, I think, with Vesuva in the deck as well as a second Valakut, this is massive overkill, actually. It's not even close. So I think I think Cedric was just finding the most efficient line to kill with, if I had to guess. And this is certainly very efficient in terms of, like, having to click.
Using a very handy Magic the Gathering online feature of save targets and
Yeah.
auto yield.
Yep. Look, he won't even have to get to the Keswick Wolfren activation for it to be lethal. That's why it's so
Yep.
efficient.
Yeah, with 3 we're seeing 6 Valakut triggers right now, and then the second Primeval Titan trigger will resolve to go get another 2 lands for another 6 Valakut triggers.
Alright, it looks like I'm playing against Amulet Titan round 2, and you will be playing against Mono Green Tron.
I will. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about your matchup going into it, Jarvis?
Uh, I think game 1 is very die roll dependent, but I also think Cedric probably still has a slight edge. I don't know if you noticed, I have 9,000 Fulminator Mages, Force of Vigors, and Pick Your Poison. So, we do what we can.
And there you have it.
Well, it it kinda didn't look like they were playing the same format there, honestly. Like,